Are you ready, Catherine? Perfect. We will call to order the regular meeting, Village of East Dundee, Monday, January 4th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, guys. Welcome to the first meeting of the year. So, Catherine, would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Lineham.
Here.
Trustee Sella.
Here.
Trustee Wood.
Here.
Trustee Mahoney.
Here.
Trustee Andreessen.
Here.
Trustee Coonsey.
Here.
And President Miller.
I am here as well. Thank you. We will pass on the Pledge of Allegiance. That takes us to public comment on agenda items only. Is there anybody in the audience this evening that would like to talk to us about anything on the agenda? Seeing none.
Sorry.
Okay. Wasn't sure if that was a glitch or somebody trying to speak up.
Not me.
Okay. We will move on to other agenda items as we have no consent this evening. If I can have a motion on the minutes on item 8, please.
Make a motion to approve the special village board meeting minutes dated December 14th, 2020.
Very good. Do we have a
Second.
Good. Any questions, discussion?
No.
Catherine?
Trustee Lineham.
Yes.
Trustee Sella.
Yes.
Trustee Wood.
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen.
Yes.
And Trustee Coonsey.
Yes.
Very good. We need a motion on item 2, which is approval of a plat of easement.
Make a motion to approve an ordinance approving the plat of easement for 811 East Main Street, East Dundee, Illinois, 60118.
Second.
Very good. Discussion on this.
811. Okay. Now, I just have a question concerning this. Wouldn't the plat of easement have been something that would have been done prior to the development of the property? I mean, I'm not sure why we would be approving a plat of easement on something that's already been done.
Well, I don't believe it was done because we were looking at the time subdividing the lot. And then the COVID hit and that kind of put everything on hold.
Okay, but I mean,
I think it's best if Joe Hines speak to this, but the last plat of easement that we received, which incorporated an easement from 811 to 855, was last dated December 2020, I believe, and that's the one that is being requested to be approved. Is that correct, Joe Hines?
That's correct. Originally, this development was supposed to be a subdivision with 2 lots, and the developer has since then elected to not subdivide the property. So without the subdivision, the village still needs easement. So hence we require the plat easement.
Okay. Anything else on this? Catherine?
Trustee Lineham.
yes.
Trustee Sella.
Yes.
Trustee Wood.
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen.
Yes.
And Trustee Coonsey.
Yes.
Good. We have an ordinance for an amendment to the development agreement. Somebody could make a motion to approve this, please.
I'll make a motion for an ordinance authorizing the First Amendment to the development agreement by and between the Village of East Dundee and 811 Main Street Apartment LLC, 855 East Main Street Development.
Second.
Good. Discussion on this one.
So we're just
Already-
pushing back previously agreed upon deadlines is all we're doing here. We're not changing any of the financials or anything like that.
That is correct.
Okay.
Except, Joe, didn't you suggest putting the cement hardy siding on there in lieu of the vinyl on 855?
Yeah, it's ordered. I got it stacked up over in my backyard.
Great.
Don't hold
We
your
won't
breath.
we won't be doubling down on the problems we're bound to have with vinyl siding.
No, I'm proud. Look at that baby. It's beautiful.
Yeah, a whole year in.
All right. Catherine?
Trustee Lineham.
Yes.
Trustee Sella.
Yes.
Trustee Wood,
yes,
trustee Mahoney,
yes,
trustee Andreessen,
Yes.
and trustee Coonsey.
Yes.
Very good. All right, we need a grant of temporary construction easement. Item D, if somebody could make that motion, please.
I'll move to approve a resolution approving a grant of temporary construction easement and permanent ingress and egress easement to the National Tool Driveway Extension.
second,
Good. Questions, discussion?
Yeah, so the grant that's been submitted for National Tool, the drive, that's already a done deal, correct? I mean, we've got, that money's like, we got it.
So there's two grant components to this. The first grant is the EDP grant. That's part of the intersection and signalization project. No, we do not have that in hand. That is a portion of it is fronted by IDOT. The remainder will be fronted by Speedway. And then we will reimburse Speedway the balance over the life of 15 years per the development agreement. This secondary grant comes in two portions. One of them is a $25,000 grant that I believe was sponsored by Senator DeWitt a couple of years ago. So that grant, we've already started that grant paperwork. It's not in hand because it is a reimbursement grant as well. And then there is a $275,000 that's been earmarked in the capital bill upon our request for capital funding. And so that has not been received because most of the capital money has not been distributed. However, they have distributed a portion of capital monies through MFT. But so to answer your question, none of these have been received or are in hand. But they are budgeted for and will be reimbursed through these grant processes, which are different grant processes.
Okay, so can I ask then if a portion of this money is to go to Speedway, on the off chance this grant money is not initiated, it's not completed, it's just, it dies on the vine, where does that leave us with regard to them? I mean, are we on the hook for any monies that Speedway or anybody else would have been getting in lieu of this in the event that the deal falls through, the grant?
So the redevelopment agreement with Speedway at the time was drafted so that we would reimburse them, I believe, 40% of sales tax over 15 years. And then when we negotiated that, we did not know whether or not we would get any grant funding. So the agreement took that into account, that the amount owed to Speedway would be adjusted downwards for any grant money that we received. So yes, if we did not get any grant money, then we would still be obligated to provide them with the 40% of sales tax over 15 years. But it looks like we are going to receive that grant money and as part of that EDP grant. And so the amount will be less, but still over that 15-year period if necessary.
Well,
Makes sense?
let's all say a small prayer, because until we get the money in hand, we're still on the hook for this.
Keep in mind two things. First of all, I think that's more applicable to item E than for item D. But second of all, the Speedway intersection signalization was based in, and the grant for that was based in part on the National Tool Access.
Well, right, but I mean,
The $2 million that we're getting for the intersection improvements require that this stop be taken as well.
right, but okay, then the question begs, if this grant were to fall through, is IDOT gonna go somewhere else to put up their signal and forget Rock Road or
You're
Christina?
asking me to tell you what IDOT's going to do at any one time. I don't have.
Well, I mean, and then, I'm just asking, and then if that were to happen, is Speedway ever going to open? I mean, this has been a corporate decision on their part not to, for these delays that are apart from what we can control. in the event that it doesn't happen their way, you know, they've already got an $8 million investment.
Yeah,
in
but
this.
I believe too, and you have some valid points there, but I believe that Speedway has changed their corporate policy and they've decided they're going to open with a temporary.
Great.
Yeah, Trustee Lynam, we've been meeting every other week with IDOT. IDOT has been aggressively helping us work through this signalization, and we're waiting on a document, which is a final grant agreement, amended grant agreement that needs to be provided by IDOT, but there's no indication that we're not moving forward. That's been in the past. There was definitely some ambiguity on where this project was going, but I have a sense of confidence because IDOT has actually been pushing this project along for us. So I feel pretty confident in this project taking place and the grant reimbursement occurring. So.
And then lastly, can I ask if the cost of the signal is changed due to the Caterpillar location?
The fourth leg did add costs to the intersection improvement, and those funds are to be funded by Caterpillar. Of course, you have to remember, we do have a development agreement with Caterpillar due to some of those costs. So they will be kind of reimbursed through another avenue through their development agreement. But the overall cost of the intersection did increase because there is a fourth leg on the intersection. And it was originally only proposed as 3 legs.
3, okay.
All right, anything else on D?
Okay, that'll do.
Catherine?
Trustee Lineham,
Yes.
Trustee Sella,
Yes.
Trustee Wood,
yes,
Trustee Mahoney,
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen,
yes,
and Trustee Coonsey.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now we can award the contract to Lamp. If somebody can approve the motion on item E, please.
I'll make a motion to award the National Tool Driveway Project contract to A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $198,517.50 and authorize the village president and village clerk to execute the contract documents and all other forms required during the course of the project.
Second.
Okay, discussion on that?
1, should that be up to $198,517.50?
No, you would award it per the bid amount. The contract would follow.
All right.
The actual cost of the project will follow the unit prices that are approved within the contract.
So I mean, is there a possibility that Lamb could come to us later and say, hey, you know what? We blew the estimate by 30 grand. We're on the hook for that?
They're held to the unit prices, but with construction, the quantity of the items could change. So, but they would have to hold their unit prices.
All right.
Catherine?
Lineham,
Yes.
Trustee Sella,
Yes.
Trustee Wood,
yes,
Trustee Mahoney,
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen,
Yes,
and Trustee Coonsey.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now the one we've all been waiting for. Proclamation for Realtor Association of the Fox Valley Day. Do we need to read this or do we just hereby so proclaim?
I guess that's your call.
I agree. Can I ask for a little background on this one?
We get asked by various organizations throughout the year to proclaim things to be their day, just like the state does, just like everybody else does. It's just part of business. And as long as it's nobody that's inflammatory or controversial, we usually just nod our heads and say yes.
Okay.
So we have so proclaimed, make it so. I don't believe we need a motion on that or a vote. No, okay. Good. Financial report in your packets. Let's go through the reports real quick. I really have no reports. It's just been a fairly quiet week. So we'll start with, let's see if we can look at the Hollywood squares here and start with Mr. Coonsey.
Okay. Well, Phil, the bike path looks good. Where's Phil? There he is. Phil, you guys did looks like from 72 to to essentially the Mockingbird there. How long did that take?
It really didn't take that long. We made a pass each way. I'm gonna guess probably we had a little bit of cleanup at the intersections when we crossed over Railroad and Hill. So I'm thinking probably no more than an hour, hour and a half. That includes salting as well.
Okay. Where do you guys park this guy? The thing that you plowed this with, where do you park it? Where's
Bobcat. We store it out of, the Bobcat or our skid steer
Yeah.
loader. We park it out of our public works garage.
Yeah.
We've also talked about leaving it at the special events garage.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. Why aren't we just starting right at that garage and going all the way to the other border? I mean, you've done a third of it there. Maybe we're saying times 3 is too much time, but
So the village has been, what's the word? I don't know. I don't want to say gifted an easement for the portion that runs from Mockingbird up to and including Route 72. The rest of them are still retained in ownership by the Forest Preserve District.
So are we saying then that the Forest District would object to us plowing their portion? Seems unlikely.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
And I have not personally spoken with them, with the Forest Preserve District about it. I personally have not to this point. We certainly can if so desired.
So Scott, at what point do you want to stop, I guess is the question.
Well, I guess my envision has always been that this would be a tool that that the residents can use, meaning they're coming out of their neighborhoods and walking on the bike path to get downtown or walking their pets or whatever, that they use the bike path for. So, I always thought of this as being something we do not just in the downtown, but throughout the neighborhoods as well, where the bike path goes through these neighborhoods. Obviously, I'm not, the one that dictates what gets done and what doesn't get done. I'm just telling you what I envisioned. But that's what I thought. All of East Dundee, really.
Okay, so we could start at, and this is just, speculation that we could do this, but we could start at Hager on the south and then go up to, I'm trying to think of where it would end on the north side. Would it be
Illinois.
Illinois? I guess the only concern that I've got with that is that this was pretty light snowfall. If we're looking at something like in the 6 to 12 inch range, which we will get eventually, then this is going to become I don't want to say a nice to have, but obviously the priority is going to be to get the streets and everything else done first, and then go back and hit that.
Sure.
So as long as that's acceptable, and I guess we can get some kind of a letter from the Forest Preserve, then that's something that we could certainly consider.
Okay.
I think too, as far as mechanically removing the snow with the skid steer loader, we could certainly make it pass each way and clear the snow off. Salting would be a little different animal in that we have a manual push spreader. So that would be quite a distance to salt from Illinois down to, and I'm not, because we're using a vegetation friendly / pet friendly salt product. So we'd have to probably purchase a significant amount more, which we could certainly do that. It wouldn't be an issue. And it's a fairly expensive product just because it's earth friendly, if you will.
Yeah.
So, and the time it would need to salt that. So
I guess my first thought would be, since we're going to reach out to the Forest Preserve District anyway, reach out to them and say, hey, would you be interested in plowing these sections of your bike path for us? And then obviously if they push back, then we could consider, what the added costs, because it's, it's going to be labor more than anything else too. And then I guess, how much time would it take to research whether it's the type of blade that you would need for that, or are there, because I know obviously if you were to get a Gator or a John, a four-wheeler or something else, I know that they make attachments for those with both blades, plows, and salt spreaders. You know, do we want to at least consider what that would cost to get a setup that would allow you to do that? And then we could make that decision.
Well, the equipment we're using now, President Miller, it's our skid steer with an actual snow plow.
Yeah.
We have the ability to kind of push it off to the side. So,
I mean, do we have to salt a bike path? I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, if we're shoveling it in the first place.
The problem is always,
focus.
yeah, I mean, the problem is going to come down to liability. And I think that's where the Forest Preserve might have an issue. It's the old argument that if I don't shovel my sidewalk and somebody slips on it, I'm not liable. If I do shovel it and salt it and somebody slips on it, then theoretically I'm liable. And so we don't want to go down that path on somebody else's property. And so that's why I think it's going to be important to get the Forest Preserve to buy in. And it's a valid question. I mean, how far do we go with this? I don't know. Let's get some costs together and we can consider it.
Okay.
I think it's even money that they're gonna fall over laughing. But I got a question for Phil. Is that skid steer, can that be equipped with a brush?
I believe so.
Because
We don't
if it
have
can
one,
be, it might be a little bit less harsh on the surface from a damage standpoint than a blade.
Yeah, like some type of a circulating broom.
Yeah.
We can check the hydraulics on the unit to see if it would accommodate that.
Of course, too, I don't know how deep a snow you can go with a brush,
Correct.
but it's something to think about.
Sure, sure.
All
I
right.
mean, it might not be able to move 8 inches of snow with one of those, but you know, certainly maybe up to 3 or 4. So who knows?
We'll certainly take a look at that as well. I'll contact the Forest Preserve District, and then we'll also look into some equipment attachments. To look
Yeah, I
at
don't wanna,
expand.
turn into a big money thing, but just curious.
Okay.
You realize if we go through all that, you're just going to get all the cross-country skiers mad that like using the bike path.
You know, I mean, you can,
Hey, I'm happy to leave
some of the people some of the time,
I can leave my sidewalk full of snow and they can use that all they want.
Perfect. All right. Scott, anything else?
No, that was all. Thanks.
Mr. Salop.
No report.
Very good. Jeff.
Quick question for you again, Phil. The plows that we have, up and down Howard, the guys are dropping the plow and sparks are flying. I'm wondering if we can equip those things with a nylon blade as opposed to the steel. And I mean, or do they already? I mean, but if they're dragging the blade, if they drop it and there's only, an inch of snow, it's going to do a number on the surface of the roads. And I'm just wondering if we might, if it might be a good idea to equip those things with a nylon edge.
I'll take a look at and see what, I mean, currently we use the steel cutting edges, cutting blades. So we can
Yeah.
certainly look into that as well.
Okay. And then one other quick question is, I had a neighbor ask me about whether or not we can raise ducks in our backyard as opposed to chickens. I didn't know.
I actually got a question from a couple of people over the last 6 months.
About ducks?
On ducks, yeah.
Cool. Well,
So, I mean, I guess the way that our ordinance is written now, it's chickens. I know that when we first did that, I had somebody that got very irate because he actually had peacocks in his backyard and tried to convince me that they were the same thing. I don't care you want to.
Well, they're just fancy chickens.
They're really noisy chickens too, apparently.
they taste like chicken.
Do they? So, this is really up to you guys. I mean, do we want to go through and relook at this and decide if there's other categories besides that we want to add? I mean, I don't think people are going to put Canadian geese in their yards. But I'm fine with amending our current code to add ducks to that if nobody objects. We haven't had any problem with chickens.
I kind of sorry now that I walked away chuckling to myself because I didn't know other people might have been asking.
Apparently, there's a group of people out there that like ducks and duck eggs.
Duck eggs are great.
Right.
All right. So
Yeah, they're expensive too, from what I hear.
And that'll make 3 or 4 people very happy. So
Yeah, I don't mind people raising ducks.
Yeah, good by me.
okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Anything else, Jeff?
I knew I had something, but I Forgot about it. Okay, no, I'll go.
Mr.
Thank you.
Andreessen.
No report.
Kathleen.
No report.
Very good. Let's go around the table with admin here. Village Administrator.
Thank you. I hope everyone had a nice break and enjoyed their holidays as much as they possibly could. I just wanted to make sure you are aware we will be having a January 18th meeting at this time, so that will be our next meeting. The other meetings that are coming up, there's some important things going on. It's budget time. So when I think about Trustee Coonsey and the bike path, I think about if you have a budget idea, now is the time. We have a form. I don't need a form from you. You can call me, send me an email, whatever you want to do. If you have an idea that you want us to consider, get it to me as soon as possible so that we can talk about it during the budget. We'll start looking at draft budgets from the department heads and any ideas you may have February 5th. And then our budget workshop is tentatively scheduled for March 15th. So it'll take the place of a regular board meeting. That will be the only business. That's the way we've done it the last few years. But make sure that if you aren't available on March 15th, please let us know. And then we can look at maybe changing the date if we need to change it. So that's really all I have, unless anyone has anything for me.
So just to be clear, this is something that we have 2 new trustees that have petitions to be on the ballot. We would strongly suggest that anybody who is going to participate in this goes through the budget process just so that they can get an understanding of what's going on. While they can't contribute, they can certainly get their feet wet by finding out this is a big part of what we do and why we do what we do.
Absolutely. You make an excellent point. I can see Sarah, if that's one of them, Sarah, if that's you, I would definitely encourage you to participate or attend this meeting. It's a public meeting, a budget workshop, but we'll also be reaching out to the candidates since it's uncontested position. And we will be doing, get a jump start on an orientation and walk them through just like we did with Trustee Coonsey before he came. So definitely that's an excellent point. We consider the budget to be the most important policy document that we do for the year because it identifies everything we're going to do in a year. So yes, they should participate, at least attend, and so they can get a good understanding.
Good. Okay, let's go to Village Attorney.
No report this evening. Thank you.
All right, Building Department.
No report.
Okay, Village Engineer.
No report.
Public Works.
Just a good evening. Just a quick update. Last week or so, we received some snow, as we all know. Rockford received a little over approximately 7.6 inches of snow. Chicago, O'Hare, closer to 4.3. So we're close to that 5-6 inch range over the last week plus. So winter is officially here. So otherwise, as far as plowing efforts, everything's been pretty normal. So we're getting ready for the next one, whenever that will be.
We've gotten some pretty good responses on Nextdoor in support of what your team has been doing. So good job, keep it up.
I'll let them know. Thank you.
Very good. All right, Finance. You're on mute, Brandis. There we go.
Just wanted to let you all know that our audit is complete and we received that packet over, well, the electronic version of the audit over right before New Year's. And we'll have hard copies and electronic copies available for you all soon, hopefully this week. And we'll have our auditors present on the January 18th board meeting. So if you guys have any questions after reviewing the document, you can always feel free to ask us or, bring up your questions at the meeting on the 18th.
Very good.
That's it for me.
All right, thanks. Chief Carpenter. You're also on mute.
Mute.
Still,
Chief, you're on mute.
Okay, thanks,
Ah.
gentlemen.
Yeah.
I have a question as we're planning out our work schedule for officers in the future. I'm wondering if the St. Patrick's Day Parade has been discussed in any way.
it
Is
has
it a
not.
goal?
It has not.
Okay,
But that's a good question, and that's something that we'll have to start talking about.
thank you.
Mhm.
I have nothing further.
Very good. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, you can raise your hand.
I remembered what my questions were. One was the two cruisers that we had, Chief, you might know, did we get those replaced yet?
Well, they're still on order, but they have not been received.
Okay. And then Lael, I had heard John Brewer from P&Z resigned, and I was wondering if did you appoint anybody, or is that
Yeah, no.
got to be done through their group, or how?
No, it's an appointment by me. But I have not yet. I'm still considering that.
Okay.
There's obviously some qualified people on that board that would be able to take over that position.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Good.
Hey,
No, that
Lael,
was
it's
it.
Kirsten. You didn't call on me, but I do not have any report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right.
There's no video. Kirsten, you got to show yourself.
Now, you can see my name. That's enough.
There you go.
It's
All
not-
right. That takes us to public comment on non-agenda items. Is there anybody out there that would like to speak to us on any item whatsoever? Seeing none. Very good. We have no executive.
John or Lael?
Yep. Hey, Chris.
I raised my hand, but I guess I didn't get up fast enough. Hi, Chris Caius, Kane County Board Member, District 23. I just want to assure Jeff that as the new president of the Kane County Forest Preserve, I wasn't falling over laughing when he brought the suggestion of following the path. So
have other communities asked you to do it?
this is the first time I've heard of it, frankly, but
Oh, okay.
certainly I have heard what you were discussing, and I will talk with John and look forward to seeing how the Forest Preserve responds to it.
Thank you.
Great.
Very good. Okay.
Chris, thanks again for attending these meetings. We really appreciate the time that you spend and the way you can make things work so seamlessly and smoothly.
Very much agree.
Hopefully, I'm lucky, I think, mostly up till now, but I hope it keeps going that way.
All right.
Okay. So we have no executive session this evening, so we are going to need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
And a
Second.
Very good.
Heard.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, seeing none, we are done for this evening. Guys, have yourself a great week. We will see you on the 18th. Thanks for everything you do, and we'll talk to you later.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good
Take
night.
care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.